Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to NL Hafta. We're recording this on the 15th of September, Thursday at 2 in the afternoon. And before I introduce the panel, I would like to, in my customary way, request you to subscribe and pay to keep news free. Because as you have been noticing, news is going more and more batshit crazy. I was just watching before we started this. All they're doing is trying to outdo the other in bigotry, and it has reached levels that I haven't seen in a while. And it is interspersed with ads of some sarkari ad or the other. In fact, when Raman and I were watching it, there was ads of Bhagwant Mann, followed by an ad of Modi, followed by an ad of Yogi.
It's just the government's keeping them alive.
So I was like, okay then. So you guys can subscribe and pay to keep news free, because without that, journalism will die. And we have a very important election coming up in a year and a half. And news organizations should be well equipped to report on those elections or even the run-up.
I remember 25 years ago in Express when we broke this story of Tata Ulfa tapes.
Yeah.
So Tata stopped all the ads, advertisements, and Tata was batting, through India Today. So they were giving ads to India Today. All ads were shifted to India Today. And Express was not getting any ads. What I'm trying to say that those days, we only used to look for ads from the corporate groups, never from the government. Government never used to advertise so much.
Now it's become one of the biggest advertisers.
Guys who could put in that big kind of money were also corporations.
Yes.
Not governments.
Now the 4,000 crore budget of central government.
Yeah.
Massive.
So anyway, so let me introduce the panel to you. Joining us here in the studio are my colleagues Raman Kirpal, our editor-in-chief, and Manisha Pande, executive editor. Joining us from Chennai on the phone line is Jayashree. Hi, Jayashree.
Hi.
And joining us on the phone line from Vilayat, from I thought whenever anyone's in UK, I say London, but obviously there are places other than London. But Shruti Kapila is joining us from somewhere in the island above Europe. Where exactly from, Shruti?
Cambridge, United Kingdom.
Okay, that is not London, right? That is
No,
different
it's not
city.
London. I feel the pain.
So Shruti is a professor with the Faculty of History at the University of Cambridge and a fellow of Corpus Christi College. She is the editor of the book An Intellectual History of India and co-editor of Political Thought in Action, the Bhagavad Gita in Modern India. And she has also authored another book called Violent Fraternity, Indian Political Thought in the Global Age. And when did that release, Shruti?
Just a few months ago, 8 months ago, like in November last year.
So in the show notes below, you can visit Shruti's website and also the links to the books. Shruti's writing has appeared in academic journals such as Past and Present, Modern Intellectual History, as well as the Financial Times, The Print, and Prospect. So welcome, Shruti.
Thank you so much.
Before we get in, we will be discussing the Queen first because I'm sure Shruti has a tight schedule. But before we do that, Jayashree will just give us the headlines and then we shall get into the discussion on the Queen's passing and its implications.
Okay, here are the headlines for the week. Violence broke out during a BJP march to the state secretariat in Bengal on Tuesday. It was ostensibly to protest corruption in the state. I think they were denied permission for the march, but the BJP said they will not take permission from thieves. So ultimately, a police vehicle was set on fire, there was stone pelting, cops were injured, and the police used tear gas to disperse the crowd.
And I saw some videos of a cop being badly hammered by the BJP workers, which was on WhatsApp. I didn't see it on any channel. I don't know how many channels showed it. I'm sure NDTV would have.
Apparently his eye was partially gouged. He was an assistant something of police.
Wow. But that
and also another BJP worker lighting up a vehicle, torching a vehicle.
But that, of course, was not shown on any of the other channels.
I saw it on the social media.
In fact, you know what Times Now was showing? They were showing Swapan Das Gupta's picture that he tweeted out. Did you see it? He's just looking very sad. And arrow mud on Swapan Das Gupta. Like the arrow showing that there's mud on him. My God. I mean, there was a BJP councillor, ex-mayor, who was actually, she got hit on her head and usko hi dikha dete. Sopan with mud on him is just hardly.
Yeah. Ironically,
And
the
of
same
all the
week, or in fact the same day or the day later, AAP was denied permission to hold a protest march to all the garbage sites in Delhi by the Delhi police, which comes under the BJP's home ministries.
Yes. Then Varanasi court on Monday held that the civil suit by a Hindu plaintiff seeking the right to pray inside the Gyanvapi mosque premises is maintainable and can be heard further. Southern Owaisi has said that this order takes the country back to the 1980s and 90s.
So, of course, the way the coverage of this happened was as if the case has been won. There was, I think, just one panelist who clarified that the Varanasi court has only said that this is admissible in court, it can be heard. It has not been won yet, but there was this glee and gloating of anchors and the Har Har Mahadev chants.
Not just that, a day before, they already a major court decision is going to come out. So the city is tensed. So the kind of coverage, it got a day before.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the celebrations.
But I think everyone is anticipating the next petition will be that Muslims can no longer worship in the mosque. No,
which
they're behaving as if that is a given
I don't
fact.
think that'll happen though.
No,
But
yeah,
that is what they've been.
I mean, one is VHP goons have become activists in all headlines. Yesterday, on the side of the road in UP, they were reading namaz and they made them do uthak baithak, holding ears. VHP guys. It was it's in today's newspaper, I think, or yesterday's paper. And there's a image of that also you can see on social media. And was it a minister in the Madhya Pradesh government or UP who has said that all mosques should voluntarily become far away from temples? They should not be anywhere near temples. Voluntarily they should do this. People who were saying that, oh, it's in our heads, the fringe. Beta, jab wo tumhare ghar pe aake bolenge na that you guys will eat what we eat and then you will know whether it is the fringe or not.
Right now they are working on the madrasas. Then they will say you can't teach children at home. I don't know what all is going to happen.
UP minister.
Who is this?
Sanjay Nishad, yes, he has said this. That they should voluntarily remove... No, from the BJP. He's a minister in the UP government.
Also in UP, after Assam, the UP government on Monday has started its survey of unrecognized madrasas. A 3-member panel began visiting Islamic religious schools in the state. I think Uttarakhand also announced yesterday or day before, the chief minister said that they're also going to start the survey of madrasas.
Sanjay Nishad is Nishad party, just correct.
Oh, he is? So then how's he a minister in UP?
Because they're in alliance.
Achha, they needed a guy to be a minister?
Nishad's was specifically because it's one OBC group that they really needed.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. Yeah. But this contagion of madrasa, it started off with Assam, now UP, Uttarakhand. It's going to spread. It's not going to stop in any, ostensibly the reason in Assam was something to do with security or something to do with education. Somewhere it'll be something else, but it is going to go all over wherever there's a BJP government.
Yes.
Assam, they had demolitions also, no?
They bulldozed.
And in fact, the police said that they said only 2 were removed. The third was made out of jute and bamboo. And the villagers removed it themselves. They took it down themselves. There were videos of the villagers taking it down. But the next day, the villagers claimed that the police told them to take it down. They didn't do it voluntarily.
Next, an IPS officer, Satish Chandra Verma, who was part of the investigation team in the Ishra Jahan fake encounter case, has been dismissed from service. The Home Ministry has told the Delhi High Court last week.
And this is, he was due to retire the end of this month, end of September, which means he loses his pension after whatever 30 years of service. And this is because, of course, his investigation was not to the liking of the BJP. And the reason they've said that he is to go is that he spoke to the media, thus sullying the image of India and internationally.
But he's now moved the Supreme Court against the order. So, also in UP, there are many stories from UP this week. In Thursday, the UP police arrested 6 men for allegedly raping and murdering 2 Dalit sisters at a village in Lakhimpur Kheri. The sisters, aged 15 and 17, were found hanging from a tree on Wednesday.
It's ghastly. This happens.
Yeah.
And same place, right? The earlier.
Yeah, Lakhimpur. We have done a series of stories on. It was Lakhimpur.
No, that
Kheri.
was where the farmers were mowed down.
No.
Earlier,
the first series.
The first, that was Lakhimpur.
Ah,
Only the two
Lakhimpur,
girls who were
yes.
found hanging on a tree. Exactly like this.
There were three stories we did. Akanksha and Nidhi.
It was
They had
Lakhimpur.
gone
And there
wrong.
was one
Yes.
case in Kasganj also, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway,
It's
yeah.
just ghastly.
In fact, we did a story of how the cases were being fought and they're lingering on, in the court.
In fact, this week on Awful and Awesome, I've reviewed a film called Sia, which is exactly on this, rape of marginalized communities in UP. Very dark and depressing.
In Karnataka, opposition leaders have staged a protest in Bangalore against Hindi Divas celebrations in the state. They sang Kannada songs and said the state government should not use public money for Hindi Divas events. However, I think the chief minister then later stressed that he and the BJP are against the imposition of Hindi in the state.
There is the alliance partner of the BJP from Nagaland also, I was watching him on Republic yesterday, who made an appearance and said that though we don't mind what Amit Shah said, but it should not be imposed because it disadvantages students from the Northeast. And surprisingly, Arnab was for it. He was questioning the BJP spokesperson.
Really?
Saying that, it's a valid question. Don't force it. Let it be a language of love.
But he asked the viewers to fire in your views.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just share, Republic, you cannot share your views.
You have to fire in.
You have to fire them in. Okay?
Omar Khalid has spent 2 years in jail, but his mother says she is optimistic of him walking free.
Yeah, he's also
he
written
was
this
in
letter.
prison in 2020.
In fact, everyone should read his letter because, and we've done a little piece on it also, that a substantial portion of it, he explains how the media has spun such lies around him. It beats even the cops.
Yes.
I mean, I think the media has done multiplied by 100 in this case.
Yes.
Compared to even Delhi police.
The charge sheet just amplifies it. I mean, they're trying to show it, as part of some kind of conspiracy. I mean, his WhatsApp chat or whatever. But yes, media is really
Also, he
manifold.
singled out Hindi newspapers.
Yeah, especially Hindi newspapers.
Simply put, I mean, even if you look at what happened last week when she died, there's been massive tumult in British politics. You've had a new prime minister, new cabinet. So, and there she is, she dies, and she gives this country a huge amount of stability at a focal point. And I think that's the point of the work of the Queen for the last 70 years has been to sort of see Britain through a huge amount of change from a reigning empire to a mid-tier global power. And plus, I think the reason is that she was this kind of combination. It seems to me that what I hear and assess, she was a kind of combination of both grandeur and intimacy, because she was always in your rooms. Like on Christmas, she gave the Queen's speech. I mean, she was like this kind of matriarch figure. And I think people, I'm surprised. I'm not that surprised because this has happened, to other monarchs dying, other kings and queens dying in this country. But, people are queuing for something like 30 hours to just pay respects to her at the moment. London is like a...
Even the commentary that you hear on the US channels with the panelists that they have, and they're professors, they're, people of consequence, they're genuinely shattered, that I was like...
I mean, I'm not into kind of, emotional hysterics or any of the like. I mean, I just think, I see this as an institution, and it's an institution which has really kind of kept up with the times. So despite giving stability to the nation, the monarchy itself is completely transformed. I would think of it as a kind of major global media entertainment company, because they are major celebrities. Their personal wealth is in a billion plus. I mean, they're living off the exchequer. And whether we are in England or whether we are in Delhi or wherever, even in China, we are interested in who is in, who's out, what is Meghan wearing, is she speaking to Kate Middleton, and the like.
The purane zamane ke Kardashians.
Great Britain is just a term that's used. Great Britain was always used for United Kingdom, and Great Britain was basically England and Wales, which now no longer is.
Okay,
is
so
used
it's no longer
because
it has no. So it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's basically United Kingdom, and United Kingdom refers to obviously the power of the Queen, and as it were the settlement, as it were the kingdom as a settlement. And the realm, the word is used as a realm. And then you, of course, have the nations within, like India has all these 22 states or whatever, 25 states.
So my second question is, and after that, we'll go to the panel. You said this royalty, the royal family, has kept up with the times. I don't understand how a concept like kings and queens can keep up with the times. It's like saying, for me, it's like saying, the practice of child marriage has kept with it, or sati has kept with the times. It has to go. It has no place in these times.
Well, I think as Indians, we are all very accustomed to being Republicans. And I think that, has to be given to Nehru. And it's Nehru who actually hollowed out the crown. It's very well known to us historians.
Yeah.
Because as the first country to be decolonized, he refused the monarch. This is despite being, friends with the Mountbattens. Mountbatten was, Prince Charles's godfather. I mean, this is all very into the royal world, but he refused, unlike, say, Australia and the like. And in that sense, it depleted the power of the monarchy right at the moment in the mid-20th century. And I think that was the right step for India. And India, despite having whatever 500 odd princes inside it itself, became a kind of republican democracy, which we should all be proud of.
Okay, so I think that it is interesting that this is what it took to sort of reveal the sheer medieval nature of the British state. Like, I see utter feudalism in the way that this entire period of mourning is playing out. People have been arrested for holding signs. They're cancelling chemotherapy appointments for the Queen's funeral. Surgeries are cancelled to mark respect. Supermarkets have turned off the beepers because they say the sound of the scanner in a supermarket is detrimental to respect to the Queen. Also, it's wall-to-wall. I wouldn't call it wall-to-wall coverage. I would call it wall-to-wall hagiography. Even among so-called left-leaning newspapers like The Guardian. The arrests, I thought, were astonishing. The man who was arrested in Edinburgh, he shouted, "Andrew, you're a sick old man." During the funeral procession, he was arrested.
Yeah.
A woman was holding a sign that says, fuck imperialism, abolish the monarchy. She was arrested. A man in Oxford shouted at when Charles was proclaimed king, a man in Oxford, I think, shouted, "Who elected him?" And they arrested him.
Also,
and then a protester held a sign saying, "Not my king," and he was taken away by the police. And later they de-arrested some of these people when they were asked for the charges on which they were arrested. But the fact that they took them away in the first place is incredible to me. Like, I can't believe that a man who says who elected him is taken away by the police.
No, I was just saying that I completely agree with Jayashree, and the fact that perhaps people are so invested in it and so emotional about the symbol of monarchy because they haven't been embarrassed enough of what Britain did really. And I think that is one of the huge problems with European nations, because you had this huge crime that happened in Germany. So all your attention has been on Germany and the worst crimes against humanity, and you completely kind of almost whitewash everything that colonial powers like France, Germany, Britain did.
Belgium.
Congo.
Africa,
I mean, it's
what did it?
If you look at the 1943 Bengal famine, 30 million people, that's double of Holocaust, died. And I just don't think they're embarrassed enough. They're shamed enough. I don't know what they're taught in history. I think you're still taught that, wow, Britain was a great empire.
One of the things is that,
but there is this William Dalrymple book, The Anarchy, where he talks about Powers Castle, which has more Mughal artifacts than the National Museum. I mean, we all know about the loot, but the level of it, you really understand that they stole tents.
In that, against this background, starting something like Congress Yatra, I think it will not do them any harm. It will only bring in, it will benefit them. So, and I also believe that anything which decays, it develops. So if there is a decay in Congress, so the Congress is going to resurrect also. So I think this is first very tiny step, towards resurrection. So I think more people will, maybe if he's able to, get a cadre, people who are living, they are spent force. I know, for that matter, the Kambar Kamath in Goa. I mean, 3 times chief minister. I mean, the people, he's basically getting exposed, by shifting to BJP. So they are looking at the short-term gains. So I think these people leaving Congress is not going to affect that much. But bringing in new leadership, new chain of leadership at the lower, middle and higher level is something if this Yatra can do. And I think it's a positive step for the Congress.
Manisha?
I think it's a total failure. I mean, 7 days, 8 days, whatever.
7 days, 8 days?
It's been what, 7 days since he's been on the
No,
road? No.
5 days.
It's not
5
last
days.
week. No.
4-5 days.
Sunday to chalu hai na?
4-5 days.
Today's Thursday.
So first and foremost, for past 2 years, you've been telling us you don't want to lead the Congress party. So then why are you the face of this event, which is supposed to be the resurrection of the party? Could you, okay, fine, agreed that Rahul Gandhi is probably the most known face, so he needs to be there. But then should he have been accompanied with state leaders there? Should there have been plans to, give them more limelight? Because what's the point of Rahul Gandhi leading this? You've made it clear that you want to lead the party. You're going to have elections where apparently you've said you're not going to contest it. So what is this continual mixed messaging of you leading Bharat Jodo, but I'll not lead the party? Secondly, you are, 2 major elections are coming. I don't understand the point of starting from Kerala. That is not a place where, okay, you want to start from South also, I can understand, because you may have more sympathetic listeners there than the Hindi heartland. Start with Karnataka then.
No, I think Manisha said it very well. I think the idea of Kashmir to Kanyakumari sounds very catchy, but what is it beyond that, right? I mean, also it's a little ironic that he started in Kanyakumari. Kanyakumari is where the BJP registered its really big win. It's its real stronghold in Tamil Nadu. So it's a bit sad. And then after Kanyakumari, he went to Sri Perumbudur, which again was great visuals, because that's where his father, Rajiv Gandhi, was assassinated. So he offered flowers and all. But I mean, he's come here so many times, but what impact is he making beyond it is something that I'm finding it very difficult to understand. And the yatra itself, in theory, of course, a good idea. But I mean, the symbolism can only do so much when the nuts and bolts of your party has failed, right? And it faces a trust deficit. It lacks a strong political, ideological alternative. It lacks a credible leadership, any deep-rooted sort of organizational structure or presence. So what is the point of doing this vague sort of yatra without fixing those issues?
All of you listening in, the Chhota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sun liya Afrika, mufat khoro. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.